And so tonight, what it led into was talking about like self-love and how sometimes being selfish isn't really selfish. It's self-love and it's self-care. Okay.
Welcome to the Boss Ladies Mindset channel, powered by Crown for Success, the largest women's empowerment network for soulful CEOs on social media. We are a coaching business that mentors and motivates women to reach their highest potential in business and mindset mastery. Each one of our episodes will share valuable tips, resources, interviews, and empowering information that will help boss ladies design a life and business they're crazy as fuck about.
So for those of you who are new to me, my name is Wendy Porter. I'm the soul and sass behind Crown for Success and Boss Ladies Mindset. And we are the largest women's empowerment network for soulful CEOs on social media, with a following of 1.5 million women on Instagram between all of our pages. And we are also a coaching business that mentors and motivates women to reach their highest potential in both business, mindset mastery, and also self-love. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about, why, being selfish sometimes is a necessity, because a lot of times we women tend to overgive. We tend to be overgivers because we're nurturers by nature. So we tend to overgive and we give from an empty reservoir, or what I call reservoir. And so when we do that, what happens is that we end up being resentful, bitter, angry, because we're constantly giving, and not receiving as much as we should to fulfill those reservoirs. So the reservoir keeps depleting, and they're never getting filled back up. And the reason why is because we're always constantly giving. And so as you give, that reservoir keeps getting emptied out, goes lower. And then we're in a situation where we feel resentful or angry. Anybody been there, like in relationships or even in family? I mean, it happens even in motherhood, even sometimes. So anybody else feel resentful or angry or bitter? So it happens. And so tonight we're going to be talking about self-love and how sometimes being selfish is not really being selfish. It's actually self-care. And sometimes it's critical to our sanity, right? And we've got to learn to know when to draw the line and when to start filling our own reservoirs back up. Okay. It happens to I don't know one woman who hasn't felt that way, to be quite honest with you, myself included. So because we tend to overgive, and then these reservoirs that we have get emptied out, and they have to be replenished. Because if they don't get replenished, then we feel resentful, angry, bitter. Okay. So being selfish with your energy, your time, and your love is not being selfish, not in the least. Okay. So I want that to really resonate with you, because I know for a lot of people, they say, well, I'm supposed to give everything I've got. No, you're not. You're supposed to give yourself first. Okay. Give it to yourself first. Your time, your energy, and your love should go to you first and foremost. Then it replenishes your reservoirs, and then you can give from a full place to those in your life. You can give to your kids, you can give to your husband, your spouse, you can give to your mom, your dad, you can give to your boyfriend. You can give to other people when you give from a place where your reservoirs are full, okay? But you have to be able to give that to yourself first in order to fulfill that reservoir, in order to fill it all up. Otherwise, you continually give from an empty space, and this is how we end up exhausted, tired of everybody's bullshit, resentful, angry, and bitter. And we don't want that. We don't want to go into 2021 being that person. We want to go into 2021 being our highest version of ourselves. Okay. So that we can attract more things that we desire into our lives. Because as long as we're going into 2021 being bitter, resentful, angry, that, our reservoirs are emptied, then we can't attract the dream life that we want to create for ourselves. Okay. So being selfish from a place of the time, energy, and love that you give and putting it into self is not selfish at all. It's self-care. It's part of self-love. Okay. So I want you to please get that out of your head that it has anything to do with being selfish. It does not. You are just taking care of yourself, which you have to do in order to be able to take care of others from a place of love instead of a place of resentfulness. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is you can't fully give yourself to other people until you've given yourself what it is that you need and want. So you've got to fulfill your needs first, and then you can give to others. Okay. So, okay. Number three is you've got to learn how to set boundaries. All right. So setting boundaries is extremely important to creating a self-care, self-worth, self-love routine. Because if there is no boundaries, then that you're constantly giving, and people start taking advantage of what you give. Okay. Or they start taking it for granted. Or they think they can do more than what you're willing to put up with. Okay. So setting boundaries, and this goes for relationships, this goes for family life, this goes for everything. So setting boundaries. So you need to decide what are the boundaries that you're willing to put up with and what you're willing to not put up with. Like, what is the breaking point for you? And those boundaries need to be expressed to your significant other. And even if you're just dating, there should be boundaries that are, I say, like, if you're just out there dating, by the second, third date, you should know what your boundaries are. You should know they should know what you would put up with, what you don't, put up with. So setting boundaries, like clear, established boundaries, especially if you're in a relationship. So if you feel like, your boyfriend liking pictures of exes or liking, pictures of women he used to talk to, if you feel that that's crossing a boundary because you feel like maybe it's sending a message that the door is still cracked open for them, or maybe you feel like it makes you feel shitty inside, then that should be a boundary that you express to your significant other. That should be a boundary that says, you know what? I don't really want you to be liking other women's photos, their selfies. You like every single selfie on their page, but you don't like any of their quotes, or you don't like any of their family pics, but you sure do like those selfies. So setting that boundary that I'm not, that I don't appreciate that needs to stop. It doesn't make me feel good about myself. And it also makes me feel like you're basically saying, hey, this door is still cracked open for you to, possibly come back in it. Or it says, you know what, I'm not really that happy in my relationship. So whatever you feel that it says, or whatever signal it's sending to you, that's how you feel about it. And you have every right to feel that way. So it doesn't make you insecure. It doesn't make you crazy. That's your feelings of how you feel about it. And any man who makes you feel like you're crazy, makes you feel like you're high maintenance, makes you feel like you're asking too much, is a man who is not ready to love you at your level. And let him go. Let him go. And if he comes back around later and you're still available, then maybe you can look at him again. But if he makes you feel like you're high maintenance, or you're difficult, or you're asking for too much, or that's crazy to have that kind of boundary, then he's not ready to love you at your level, and you can let him go. Let him go find some girl that he can love on that level, but you ain't the one. Okay? So you've got to set boundaries for yourself, and you got to stick to those boundaries. And you have to honor yourself in sticking to those boundaries, because what happens a lot is that we'll set boundaries, but then we'll, be afraid to let go. We'll be afraid to address the issue. We'll be afraid to express ourselves because, maybe he'll leave, or maybe, he'll think I'm difficult, or maybe he'll start talking to his ex again, or maybe he'll break up with me, or, whatever the maybe is. But you have to be able to express your boundaries when they are being crossed. First of all, you got to express your boundaries and tell him what your boundaries are. Then you got to be able to express yourself when those boundaries are crossed. And there has to be consequences to that. Okay? There has to be consequences when your boundaries are crossed. And you can decide what that consequence is. I'm not here to tell you what that consequence should be. For you, it might be that you need some space from him. For you, it might be that, you're upset and you don't want to talk to him for a while. For you, it might be that, that boundary was crossed and now we're over. depending on your past and the situation. It might be that, the consequence is now I want you to unfollow all of your exes, So whatever that consequence is for you, or whatever that is, whatever you establish that consequence should be, then you establish that, but you stick to it. Okay? So you stick to those boundaries, and because every time that you do, guess what happens? Every time that you honor your word, every time that you honor the boundaries that you've set, you start to love yourself a little bit more. And every time that you don't, and every time that you let him get away with shit, then it starts to chip away at your self-worth. Every single time. So you can't just express what the boundaries are without there being consequences and without you honoring your word to them and to yourself, right? Because every single time that you don't honor your word and stick to what those boundaries are that you've created, you chip away at your own self-worth. And then this is why it becomes harder for us to find self-love. Self-love isn't something that you're born with. Self-love is something that you learn to do. But this is why it becomes harder and harder for us to really look in the mirror and honor ourselves, because we're allowing somebody else to violate boundaries that we've established for ourselves. So and I'm giving you an example of just a relationship. This goes for everything in your life. What are those boundaries for you? What are those boundaries for you with other people, not just in your relationship or not just when you're dating, but what are these boundaries that you want to establish for yourself? The next thing is intention. You have to live with intention, right? Like these are my intentions. So for instance, again, I'll give you an example. If you're dating and you know that your intention is to get married and have kids, that needs to be expressed early on in the dating process. And you can't be afraid that that's going to scare him away. You have to step into your truth and into what your needs and wants are and what your intentions are, and not be afraid to express that to somebody, so that he knows what your intentions are from the very beginning, and so that there's no disappointment later on down the line. Okay. So if you're in women who live with intention, you should be setting intentions with your business, with your goals, with the year, with 2021, in your relationships and dating, with yourself. Everybody should be setting intentions, and women who set intentions have more things manifested into their life, right? They accomplish more. They have more things manifested into their life because they are setting intentions of what they want to happen, not what you don't want. You want to stay away from what you don't want, because you don't want to put that out into the universe like that. But you want to set intentions of what you do want out of your life, out of your relationships, out of your health, out of your business. Set those intentions, because then you're putting out to the universe that these are my intentions. This is what I plan to accomplish this year. Okay? And women who set intentions and live by an intentional woman who lives by intentions is a woman who accomplishes more and who manifests more. Okay? So intentions. All right. Next one is be kind to yourself and stop beating yourself up. So this is something we tend to do a lot in our heads. Like right here, we are always constantly, this negative self-chatter is always going. So you got to learn how to catch the negative self-chatter and switch up the narrative, switch up the story. So when you're telling yourself, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so lazy. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Or, oh God, I ate that donut and I shouldn't have ate it. And now I'm going to gain 5 pounds just from eating it. The constant self-chatter that's going on in our heads. You have to become an expert at learning how to identify the self-chatter and stop it in its tracks and switch the narrative. Okay. And be kind to yourself and think about the things that you say to yourself in your head. Would you ever say those to a person or to a best friend or to your worst enemy for that matter? Probably not, because we are the way that we talk to ourselves, we would never say that to anyone. We would never say the things that we say in our own heads to our best friend, even to just a worst enemy. We just wouldn't do it. So don't do it to yourself. Be kinder to yourself. So the negative self-chatter, make sure that you're learning how to stop that in its tracks. And a good way to learn how to stop it in its tracks is to figure out, is to do self check-ins throughout the day. Like, how am I feeling right now? and do self check-ins about how you're feeling. If you're feeling down and you're feeling like, oh, I suck at everything, life sucks, chances are probably a few minutes before that, you were in your head saying all kinds of craziness, right? And the way that I always say it to people is, when you're in there in your head saying all this craziness to yourself, is, can you Google that shit? Is it even real? Like, can you go to Google and go, Wendy Porter is a lazy ass? Like, will it show up on Google? Probably not. So it's not even true. It's just little lies that we keep telling ourselves. And we've got to learn how to stop the negative self chatter in its tracks and switch the narrative to where, maybe if I'm feeling lazy and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, God, I'm being so lazy today, blah, blah, blah. And I can't Google that shit, so I know it's not real. Then maybe I say, you know what? I'm tired. I'm on my period. I'm exhausted. I'm having cramps. It's okay for me to sit down and relax today. Or it's okay for me to sit down and be kind to myself for the next 2 hours until these cramps pass by. And for real, that's my situation today. So just be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Learn how to switch the narrative into something that's softer and gentler and true, right? Instead of she's just a lazy ass. You're a lazy ass today. You're not getting anything done. No, I'm on my period. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm having cramps. I'm going to put a heating pad on, and I'm going to chill for the next 2 hours and let myself feel better and take an ibuprofen or whatever. So change up the narrative for yourself. Stop with the negative self-chatter, because that kills your confidence. And anything that's killing your confidence is chipping away at your self-worth. And if you're chipping away at your self-worth, you can't possibly have self-love, and it also chips away at your self-respect. Okay? All right. So, or you know what? Jesus, or if I'm eating chocolate today, I'm being a fat ass today. Instead of being being a fat ass today, I'm on my period. I want some dark chocolate, and it's going to make, I'm going to feel good about eating that dark chocolate because that's what I want right now. So learn how to change the narrative that's always the negative self-chatter that's going on. Okay. All right. Next one is positive thinking through affirmations. So affirmations can be extremely powerful if they're done right. And so I want you all to think about 5 affirmations around self-love that you can use on a daily basis. And if you have a mirror, like a big mirror that's maybe a full-length mirror, which most of us do, but if you don't, then even a small mirror, and get a dry erase marker, and this is what I do on my full-length mirror, and you write down your affirmations. Just 5 self-love affirmations that you think you can take in and believe. Because the problem with affirmations sometimes is that we make them too grandiose and too big, and so our subconsciousness cannot let it penetrate as truth. And so they don't work for us. So the trick with affirmations is to make them believable, right? Is to make them to where you can get behind that. You don't cringe when you're like, I'm a size 0, and you're like, no, you're not, girlfriend. You're not doing that, right? So make them believable. I get strong and I get healthier every single day instead of I'm a size 0, right? So make them to where you can believe them, where your subconsciousness can soak it in as truth. Because when your subconsciousness can soak it in as truth, that's really where you can get behind it, right? That's where the affirmations start to become more powerful to you. And if you're saying them every single day, they start to become even more powerful, right? Oh yeah, we're going to talk about forgiveness for sure. So I'm going to tell you guys I'm doing a 3-day masterclass, and it's free. And all these little subjects that I'm getting into on a micro size, I'm not doing a full day of talking about it, but I am doing a 3-day masterclass where I will be doing, a full training on all of this. So it's free to join. I'll tell you guys about it here in a little bit. Okay. And in there, we're going to be talking about a lot more on self-love and forgiveness and all of that. So, and we're actually going to be doing an exercise too that helps you with forgiveness, not only forgiveness within yourself, but forgiveness of others too. So we'll be doing that in the masterclass. So affirmations. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Affirmations. Let's see. I got some examples of some affirmations. So the affirmations, again, are you need to make them where your subconsciousness can soak it in as truth. So don't make them so big and so grandiose that you know what, you're not going to be able to, that you're not going to get behind that. It just doesn't feel right. It feels, cringy when you say it. So some that I wrote down is today I choose me. Today I choose me. There's nothing selfish about that. Today I choose me. Number 2, I love my body and all that she does for me. I love my body and all that she does for me. My inner world creates my outer world. So my inner world, all this chatter, creates my outer world. So I choose to be kind to myself. My inner world changes my outer world, so I choose to be kind to myself. Alone, I am whole. So if you're single, this could be a great one. Alone, I am whole. I have everything I need within myself. I have much to celebrate about myself and my life. I choose to stop apologizing for being me. I let go of all this negative self-chatter. My life is a place of happiness and love. I love the woman I am. And if you can't get behind that, 'cause for me, that one took a while to get behind, I would say, I love the woman I am becoming. Right? Because for me, when I would say, I love the woman I am, and I was like, you got some work to do, girlfriend. So I changed it because it was cringy for me. It was like, So I said, I love the woman I am becoming instead. I say no with ease. Boundaries. I say no with ease. I am not my mistakes. That's not who I am. My past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. My past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. I don't live there anymore. And I've got a bunch more, but those are just some of the ones that I've done over the years. And I'll be sharing all of them with you in my masterclass. And there's probably 80 of them that I have all around self-love and self-worth. And in my masterclass, I'm going to be sharing all of those with you. And that way you can pick and choose which ones you want to use and which ones resonate for you, which ones feel good for you. Okay. So next. All right. So positive thinking through affirmations was that one. The next thing is gratitude. Showing gratitude for every single little thing that you have in your life. I don't care how small it is. I'm grateful for, being able to have a roof over my head. I'm grateful for my kids making me smile today. I'm grateful for my dogs that give me joy. I'm grateful for, my stretch marks because they're a representation of my 3 kids. I'm grateful for, you can go on and on. You just find, this is what I do. I say, find at least 10 things a day that you're grateful for. Okay. So 10 things a day that you're grateful for, even if they're flaws of yours. Switch the narrative and find something positive out of that flaw that you can be grateful for. I had cancer 7 years ago, and the surgery that I had, they had to go through my armpits. So I have these really ugly armpits. They're scarred. They're like really deep, big scars on my armpits. And I always say, you know what, I'm grateful because my whole life changed when I went through cancer. Just a little history. My whole life changed when I went through cancer. It's really what birthed this business. And so that, I saw life differently. And so I am so, like, when I look at those anymore, I don't see ugly scars anymore. I see the light that it brought in, right? Because it brought me so much light and it changed my entire journey. So I don't look at it like it's, these ugly scars that I'll never be able to get rid of. I look at it like it's these scars that were opened up to allow the light to come into my life. So anything that you view on yourself that you don't care for, switch the narrative and find something positive out of it. Okay. Okay. The next one, love yourself and all your weirdness, all your crazy, all your weirdness, all your awkwardness, all your quirkiness. Learn to love yourself and all your flaws and all the crazy. And I always talk about this, for those of you who are friends with me on Facebook know I'm a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And if you want to get to know me a little bit better, more on a personal level, feel free to send me a friend request. I'm on Facebook under Wendy Amy Porter, AIMEE Porter. I might be at my friends limit, but you can still follow me and still see, everything that way too. And you can still interact with me and comment and get to know me and let me get to know you. So if you want to get to know me a little bit more intimately, send me a friend request on Facebook, Wendy Amy Porter. But I always talk about, how I'm a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I'm a little cray cray. So, and I don't run away from that. I step into that because that is part of my personality. That is part of who I am. And, don't run away from who you are as an individual. I always say this, it's so funny how, because I was severely bullied in 7th and 8th grade. It's the reason why I own the largest women's empowerment network today, is because mean girls used to, tear me down when I was in 7th and 8th grade because I was too much for, I don't know, I was an overachiever, cute girl, moved to a new city, and all the girls hated me, all the guys loved me. So I always say it's so strange how my eccentric personality got me bullied in 7th and 8th grade, and it's the same personality today that's built me $1 million business. So don't be afraid to be who you are and make zero apologies for who you are. Learn to love all your crazy, all your awkwardness, all your weirdness. And who knows, maybe you can build a multi-million-dollar business like I did out of it. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to show who you are. Don't be afraid to show the world who you are. Embrace it. Love it. Fall in love with it. Okay. And then our last one is to identify your strengths. Identify what you like most about yourself and your personality. And also identify what you like most about the way you look. What parts do you like most? And write those down. And then I want you to put them somewhere where you can see them every single day. So I love, my strength of being a super mom. It's one of my greatest strengths. I love, how assertive I am. I love how focused I am. I love how self-disciplined I am. I love, how crazy I am. I love, XYZ about myself, whatever that is for you. I love my boobs. So I love my boobs because I bought them. So I love my boobs, whatever that is for you. I love my lips. I love, whatever it is, my toes, whatever it is that you love about yourself, because we all have something we love about ourselves, whether it's our body, our personality, or our strengths. I want you to find at least 2 to 3 things in each place, in each area. Your strengths, your personality, and your body. 3 things that you love about yourself. Okay? So 3 things that you love about yourself in each area. So your personality, your strengths, and your body. And then I want you to write those down and I want you to put them somewhere where you can see them every single day and read them every single day. Okay? All right. So those are my my little guides to learning how to really fall in love with yourself, because again, we're not born in love with ourselves. It is a process. It is a process that I didn't learn until like I was in my 30s. So I hope that it helps some of you learn a lot sooner than I did. And but it is a process, and we're going to be talking more about self-love and self-worth and how to develop that skill in my masterclass. It is a free 3-day masterclass that I'm holding on January 20th, 21st, and 22nd. It's going to be in my exclusive Facebook group. If you are interested in joining, the link is in my bio right now. So you can join us for free. It is free for 30 days. And then after that, it's $33 per month if you want to stay with me and learn from me more. So if you are interested, again, the link is in my bio. And I hope to see some of you ladies over there. And tomorrow, we're going to talk more about, creating a magical 2021 for ourselves. And tomorrow is Q&A Wednesday. So I'll actually be answering questions that you have about any of the subject lines that we're talking about this week or for the next month, right? So any questions that you guys have tomorrow night, I'll be happy to answer. And then I will see you here around the same time. All right, ladies, thank you for your time tonight. I know time is the most precious commodity that we all have, so I don't take it lightly that you spent this time with me. I appreciate you and I love you. Bye.